Make sure you record it.
I got it. Thank you, Brother James. Don't give us your phone number without the approval of the division officers. Please respect the chain of command. And during member share, please limit yourself to 5 minutes. We'll get the ladies in first, then the brothers. And please respect the chain of command of the local officers. Right now, we have a correspondent secretary, Brother Bruce. First vice, Brother Frank Shaw. Second vice, I'm sorry, Brother Frank is our second vice. We have a first vice, Brother James, our sergeant at arms, Brother Anthony, our ambassador at large, Sister Charlene, and our future secretary, Sister Nakia, hopefully. And so if you guys don't mind unmuting if you can, so we can go over the pledge and you can repeat after me. If you have a flag, please raise your fist and point to the flag. I commit my body, mind, and spirit.
I commit my body, mind, and spirit
to the protection, defense, and security.
To the protection, defense, and security
of the red, black, and green.
Of the red, black, and green.
I dedicate my life.
I dedicate my life
to the redemption of Mother Africa.
To the redemption of Mother Africa.
And to the liberation of our scattered Black children.
And to the liberation of our scattered Black children.
I accept for myself and my descendants.
I accept for myself and my descendants
the teachings of universal African nationalism.
The teachings of universal nationalism.
And promise that our children will be instilled.
And promise that our children will be instilled
with the purpose and knowledge of themselves.
With the purpose and knowledge of themselves.
As African people.
As African people.
In order that the cause of our struggle.
In order that the cause of our struggle.
Will neither falter nor fail.
Will neither falter nor fail.
Until all Black people are free and united.
Until all Black people are free, united.
Under one God.
Under one God.
One aim.
One aim.
And one destiny.
And one destiny.
Race first, family. Race first.
Race first.
All right. I just want to go over some old news. We had a busy 2 weeks, man. So I just wanted to go over some old news. I went to, thanks to Sister Charlene and Lady President, I went to a group violence and reduction strategy meeting. I just want to give a brief cap over that. So the next one you guys can come. It's not a meeting where you go and vent your frustration about the police. That's not what it's about. It's a meeting where you actually go and give your ideas of what the police can do and how we can work together to help get the violence down, get the guns off the street. Of course, you guys know my homeboy I grew up with, Sam. He just his fiance was the officer that got shot. So I want to keep him in our prayers. But you know, this is really needed. We got to work with them, whether we like it or not, to come up with some solutions. So they did a lot of good things out there, and I was blessed to be there. And I definitely let you guys know when the next one is. Our local officers training, it was really good. I believe we're on the because I've read so much of this. I believe we're on Universe, but definitely these this is really getting thick, man. It's really getting the teaching is really getting good. My favorite one so far is diplomacy, and that was a good chapter. So if you guys can make it again, we're on it every Tuesday. Co-signing with, I know you guys know I went to the neighborhood association with the 4 different community associations. We're going to table what's going on with the letters. Brother Frank gave me a different idea, but I did hit the streets. I got a bunch of letters signed, but it was difficult. People are hesitant to sign their names and put their information. The positive note was they were signing that, you know, writing the name on the top. And they were taking our cards and was listening to some things about the organization. So that was definitely good. We are getting our message out there. So that was definitely good. And member orientation, if you guys haven't had time to get on member orientation, no, Brother Cameron was on. I have the emails, and of course, we have everything on our study drive, and it is every Saturday at 5 o'clock. So I'm not sending out the link because I know you guys have a lot. I'm just sending out to a couple of new members, but if you ever want to get on it, I just don't want to overwhelm you, but it is every Saturday at 5 o'clock. I wanted to go into some new news right now, real quick. Brother Frank, you was talking about the Kwanzaa event you had for us. You want to talk about that real quick?
Babysitters won't get their fair share.
So I'm putting together a Kwanzaa event for cooperative economics. It's a webinar, kind of like, basically like this on Zoom. And it's on the 29th, which is Ujamaa, the day of Ujamaa Cooperative Economics. I've reached out to a few different organizations. One is a co-op in DC. So it's being hosted by an organization in DC that I'm a part of, National Black United Front. But I want us to be co-sponsors. And I think it's gonna be the beginning of bridging the gap between, Baltimore and DC, which is one of my personal goals, is to get us kind of linked up because, I think we need to cooperate a little bit more because we have a lot of the same problems in both cities and a lot of the same needs. So basically it's pretty much a wealth building seminar, going to get people to talk about ideas for how we can get food, resources. So we've been doing the food drives and things like that, but there's a lot of other organizations that are, co-ops where people are members and they pay monthly and they get certain allotments of food. It's a democratic process. They can choose what types of food they want, what businesses they want to support and everything like that. So I'm also hoping that the Black MBA Association can join because they'll give us more of the business side of things. So that's really what it is. Mostly, I just hoping everybody can tune in and be a part of that. I'm asking Brother Everett to help out with the technology side of things since he's a guru. And that's pretty much it. I'll send out more details throughout the week.
All right, Brother Frank, I don't know if I'm a guru, but you're funny. But I got you. We'll figure that out ourselves. I wanted to go with some other new news. We're working on, we're still going to try to do the other food drive. I think it's still cool to do as many as we can, but we still wanted to hit more of our culture, our race. So I'm looking, the way it is now is I got permission to get food from the food bank. Baltimore City is an 8-month wait. But the lady that I talked to recommended we pick a Black community in the county, which we're already doing one in the county, find a spot and we could do it. So we're working on a couple of churches and also my wife's school down the street. They were doing one. The only thing is the freezer is not working anymore. So we can still pass out the groceries. And she may want to talk to us about if we pass out food, how that affects with the COVID and stuff like that. But that's just a possibility. We're looking at sending letters and calling some churches as well in the county and the Black, community, so we can make sure we touch our people with the food drive. So that one is something that we're still working on, but it's pretty much a go. We just got to find a spot that we can host it, because they're going to want to know the location's address. I finally figured out, and I still got some UNIA calendars left. If you guys don't have your calendars, the HEC meeting is, and that's the High Executive Council meeting, and that's when we talk about our Constitution. If there's changes, we vote on making changes or vote on having the changes get voted on in the convention in August. But the High Executive Council meeting is April the 14th to 16th in Philadelphia. So that's good. I'll be able to make that. A 64th annual convention is in Detroit, and those dates are August 21st to 27th. So I'm going to try to at least get down there to vote. Again, I still have a few calendars and Garvey voices left. Brother Andy gave us some bracelets. He gave it to us so we can sell them. But for the members, if you guys want one, it's nice. It's a red, black, and green. And he has one gold. And Brother Anthony, I don't know, I think I'm right, brother Anthony, correct me if I'm wrong, the gold bracelet represents your seeds, your children. Am I correct on that? You might have to mute yourself.
Yeah,
Okay.
as far as I know.
Okay, yes. So they're real good. And again, he gave it to us to have, so that's definitely good. I wanted to get into, and I think I got you guys, I sent the text out, you know, our aims and objectives. And the first aims and objective is confraternity. And it's to establish a universal confraternity among the race. And this means that it's one for all and all for one. We need to look out for each other. And the two examples I want to give, and before we have an open discussion today, one example was Brother Omasius from Philadelphia and UNIA in Philly and Atlanta. He's pretty much a member of both. He got sick coming from Philly to go to Atlanta in a hospital. And Brother John, the president, he wasn't the president then, but Brother John reached out to me, and I went down there, made sure he could eat, you know, took care of him. And there was another situation with Chief Elder. You know, Chief Elder, he jumps on every now and then. His daughter was working at a convenience store in Ohio. Chief Elder lives in South Carolina, but his daughter's in Ohio. She doesn't have transportation. She's trying to get herself together. She was working at a convenience store, and someone, I don't know if they were trying to rob the store or what, but there was a murder and she witnessed it. Now, of course, Chief Elder is zapping out. He's worried. It's his daughter. She doesn't have transportation. So he's like, do we have a UNIA in Ohio? I said, it's another fraction, but that's not us. But I said, ask him why, and he told me what was going on. I said, I'm a member of our organization in Ohio, Brother Bruce. Because he was like, man, I'm worried. Can he just look? Is there anything he can do for my daughter? I wanted to come home, but I'm panicky. So I got with Brother Bruce. Brother Bruce reached out to him. She's not going to go back to the job. And one of the crazy things was Brother Bruce got her in training. He got her in training so she could work for his company while they're up and coming to hopefully make some money. And someone else one of the workers got killed at the job. So that could have been her. That could have been her in Ohio getting killed. So with all the tragedies going on, it feels good to know that as a UNIA organization, we are looking out for our own. And we have a lot of fractures, though may small. Another example was when my daughter went to Atlanta. I reached out to Brother Ross, who was the president, and I'm like, Brother Ross, how far are you away from where she was at? And he was like, look, I'll go to her. Just let me know if there's a problem. So one of the things—
Pardon me, Brother Everett, somebody just signed on iPhone. Could you please identify yourself?
This is John Morant.
It's just a simple.
Oh, okay. That's Brother John Morant, Pastor Reverend John Morant.
Okay, all right.
Good evening, everybody.
All right. So yes, so thank you, Sergeant at Arms. So what we the thing I wanted to just say is that it's our duty, if somebody's in our community, to take care of if they're a UNIA member or any Black member of a race that's coming into our town. We're governing it, and we got to be really on it to make sure we look out for each other. And I think it's very important to know when we go to Philly, when we go to New York, we have organizations that's our family that love us. And Brother Bruce, did you want to just get into flow on that real quick for me about what happened with Chief Elder's daughter and where she's at?
Hey, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Race first, my brother.
Race first, brother. Well, long story short, basically, hopefully, through the trauma that she, the young lady, already been through and everything, we can try to get her into some type of situation where she don't have to leave the house and go to this establishment, which happens to be some type of grocery store slash, it's like a little grocery store or something like that. And I guess they stay open like 24/7 or something. And pretty much somebody got shot. And then I think another person got retaliated on or something like that in that same place within the last 24 hours. So hopefully I can get her into a decent job that doesn't require her to go back outside into that establishment until we can hopefully, I mean, that's not a, you know, she wants to do something a little different, you know, than be in that area and everything, and then we can move from there. but I want to get her situated in some type of job, hopefully dispatching, one of the dispatching things that I have going on. And that should be within the next, hopefully in the next couple of days, we can start getting her moving in that really good. So other than that, I just talked to her a little while ago. She's doing pretty good, but she needed some time, I guess, because of the coworker that got shot within the last 24 hours or so.
That's crazy.
So you know, so it's you know, it's gonna be what it is. I'm gonna do my best to keep in touch. So then that way, if we have to go across town and get her to come somewhere else, then you know that might be the deal, you know. But for the moment right now, it looks like everything is going good. Nothing's wrong with her. She's good to go. That's pretty much it right there. All right, brother.
All right, brother Bruce, and I'll get you back on member share. So yeah, I just wanted to let you know that's one of our first aims and objectives in our and that's actually lesson number 3, aims and objectives, confraternity. We have to make sure that we take care of each other, especially when in Baltimore. You know, we have to be a safe haven for our family. Do the best we can if someone comes in our town to take care of them. And I thought it was just very powerful what Brother Bruce did. Brother John, you there? I brought Brother John on for just to say a quick prayer if he could, for the officer that got shot again. And I wanted to talk about that a little bit so we can just have a little open discussion.
Yeah, I'm here.
Because it's a friend, it's a close friend of mine. We're like family. I mean, he's my age, but I would call him my uncle because ironically, my best friend, like a brother to me, he's his uncle, and we're all the same age. And we grew up together, so I know him very well. Like, I mean, I could tell you some stories. And I reached out to him. He reached out. I told him we had his back, whatever. I told him if he wanted to come on, but I just wanted Brother John just to say a quick prayer for him, and then we could continue. I just think we just need to keep the officer in our prayers. And if you guys didn't mind, Brother John, you could say a quick prayer for me.
Yes, Brother Everett.
Thank you so much.
All right. Dear Lord, first of all, we thank you for being who you are, and that's God, and beside thee there is none other. Lord, we ask that you touch the officer that has been hurt in the line of duty. Lord, we know that you're able to deliver her and restore to her a portion of health and strength. Touch her family, her fiance, all of those who were devastated by this incident that happened last week. And touch UNIA, Lord, and they thought a great work, this organization, that they would continue to do great and wonderful things. In Jesus' name we pray that all those love the Lord say amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Brother John. And before Sister Charlene, I wanted to get you the flow on the agenda. I just wanted to have a little open discussion. I do have one of our founding members, William Fisher. I didn't know if he wanted to say anything, but he was actually a former lieutenant in the Western District Drug Enforcement. I think I said his title right. And we're always talking. I'm always building with them. Just, you know, as we start to meet with our local government and take it to the next level, and as we meet with the police officials. So here's a brother that was high up in command. And in our training, Marcus Garvey also says something that I was kind of shaky on at first. And I know we all have some issues with the police. My record is easy. I've done a lot of dirt. I'm not going to lie. But it's funny that the one time, the main times I got locked up, I didn't do anything wrong. I got locked up leaving a club. An officer makes me, called me the N-word. I asked for his badge number. He locked me up. My homeboy, which is ironic, is the uncle, is the nephew of my friend that's fiance got shot. He jumped in to save me. He got locked up, got slammed on the ground, and I heard him say, I never forget this. He said, "I saw your face, man. I remember your face." And the officer said, "That's what I want you to do, remember me." So I've had some bad excuse. I had a lot of bad things with the police, but Marcus Garvey also teaches us we got to work with the good ones. You know what I'm saying? We got to try to find a way to make it better. And that's what that meeting was about. And Brother Anthony, you said something too that, you know, I thought I was thinking about as well. We do have to find a way to police our community, but it's also dangerous as well I remember the family that got the house burnt up. Y'all remember that? They just wanted the drug dealers to move off the corner. I think the father said, don't lock them up, just move them. And they set the house on fire, and the kids and I believe the mom died. I don't know if the dad died or not, but the family. So we're dealing with some serious times. I believe it's lesson 12 is called man. And Marcus Garvey's saying, you know, man is one of the most vicious creatures ever in the universe. You know,
Is the
right.
most. It's
right.
the most.
That's what he said. It's the most.
It's the most.
Thank you, Brother Anthony. It's the most. You know, we kill each other. We awful. And we're dealing with our people. I think one of the things, and I learned this by trying to get the letter signed, it is hard to deal with people that lack education and knowledge of self. You know, we're very difficult to deal with, and we love each other. We're very difficult to build with. So I just wanted to have a quick, not long, open build. And I'll start with you, Sister Charlene. Just anything you feel about what could we do dealing with the police, because we need. And another thing before you go, one of the things that, and I was talking to Brother Fitzgerald about it, is the police aren't really policing anymore. They're watching and they're sitting back. And I asked them, I said, what's going on? And, you know, and the reporter said something the other day. He was like, why aren't the police, you don't feel, he asked Mosley, you don't feel, you know, all these murders going on. And she was like, I don't think it's an issue. I correct me if I'm wrong. I don't see a reason to lock somebody up for pen, but there is a reason to lock somebody up for selling drugs right in front of your house. So I think there's a disconnect between the police department not being able to do their job, getting monitored so we know that they're doing their job and everything. But this is just a real touchy subject. I just wanted to do a quick build. Sister Charlene, do you have anything to say on that? Any thoughts?
Actually, I do, because we got to go back to the uprising in 2015 and looking at Freddie Gray and how all these things came about. And then there's a DOJ report that came out in 2016 that said that this institution of police, Baltimore City Police, had a practice of doing things that were unconstitutional, and it violated people's rights. And that is also by design, because you got to remember too that the city does not have full control of their police department. It is governed by the state, even though the residents pay for things like lawsuits and everything else. So when we talk about this institution of policing, and particularly in the Black community, because there's a whole history around Baltimore and policing, which we have to be educated as well about, and look at how these things come about. And there's always been the thing of, well, okay, we need policing, but I said, but we also have put ourselves where we have put so much on policing for things that we can do ourselves, to the point that now when we start seeing things like a spike in homicides, because let's be clear that in 2014 there was 211 murders, and before that it was 195. So it was low. We was coming under 300, well under 300. And then when that when the uprising occurred, then all of a sudden it's like boom, you just start seeing these things happening. And what was put out at one point is that it was an engagement of a stand down, because officers felt like they were not supported. And there's always that narrative that goes out too. It's like, we don't feel supported, so therefore we have problems with trying to do our jobs. But it's interesting that there are neighborhoods and communities where they could do their job well if they wanted to. But when it comes to us, the type of policing and type of tactics that is being used, they feel like they have to use that tactic. Otherwise, you know, you're not going to get effective policing. So that's what I feel on that. It's like, yes, we do have to work with the good ones. But again, it's like, if the good ones are not willing to speak up or engage in the blue wall of silence, and that's a real thing too, then we're not then they're part of an institution that do not allow them to properly engage in constitutional policing.
Yes, and hopefully, Fitz, you can talk. I'm gonna put you on the spot. I know you wanted to really just listen and get a feel. But me and Brother Fisher was talking about it. Exactly some of the things you said. Fitz, could you chime in? If not, I know you're not going to be able to talk, but if you could, I appreciate you just chiming in a little bit, because you mentioned some of the things that she was saying about the disconnect and how officers feel like they're not able to do their job.
Hey, good evening, everyone. This is Fitz. I really wanted to listen to get the input and the feeling of what was being said. But Sister had a really good point. What I will add to that, though, be mindful that in 2014 and 2015, when your homicide rates were down, we were doing zero policing, zero tolerance policing. We were locking up everybody on the street. We was loitering on the street. They had a law in effect that targeted our people, and that's why your homicide rates went down. So I just want you to be mindful of that part, because you're right, the homicide rates were down, but being used against the people at that time.
Let me ask you this real quick, Fitz, and then you can listen in. As we start demanding change from our local officers and stuff like that, what do you think is a main thing that we could do to, or what do you think the main suggestion could be to at least get more out of the police without having to go so hard? Is there a medium we could ask for?
Sorry, you broke up. I heard something you're asking about the meeting with the. I'm sorry.
No, you good. I was asking, as we start to work with our government officials and the police, is there? I don't want them to be locking up people that have a can of beer, but I do want them to, start being more doing their job and feeling that they can do their job. Without overdoing it and harassing people. Is there a median we could ask for? How would we go about, how would you suggest we go about that?
Well, as I was speaking to you the other day, the first thing when you go into the community, you got to know what the community wants. It's very important on what the community wants. What are they looking for? Usually said something the other day that really didn't make sense, in my opinion, when they ask about the crime, about dealing with people who are using drugs on the corner, and how does that affect violent crime? And she said, well, we're not going after the people who are urinating. I don't know if it's meant to go after people urinating or an open container. We have to understand that little crime does lead up to violent crime. Person get shooting dice on the corner, to most people say that's not a violent crime. But once somebody gets upset with that dice game and comes back and you now have that on over a dice game, the police can't break up dice games anymore. They can't deal with it because they feel as though no need of addressing it because the state's attorney is not going to prosecute it. So those are the little things. That's one example of the little things that has to be addressed. Mainly, it has to be first with the state's attorney and the police department.
Thank you, Brother Fitz. And I'm glad, and Sister Charlene, I'm glad you said that. It was ironic that you said that, because he was saying the same thing. The police don't feel that they can do their job because it's a disconnect with them and the state's attorney. And he mentioned the uprisings, the same as you. And so it's funny that here's a former police officer and a basketball coach that's in the streets like me, dealing with keeping kids off the street. And you guys were both on the same page. We just got to make sure we ask for change to try to get them on the same page. I know my wife said she doesn't want to say anything. Brother Anthony, do you like to speak on it? Because I know you was making some positive points as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was basically chiming in on what you were saying. I mean, you know, like I said, the reality of the whole situation is, if I hear somebody coming in my back door right now, I'm gonna dial 911. You know what I'm saying? Regardless, I'm gonna dial 911. So there has to be a way while we are trying to make the larger change, to go ahead and work with the officers who are willing to work with us, who are in the community making positive change.
Thank you, Brother Anthony. Brother Frank, did you want to say something? Because I know you wanted, I may have to table that because I didn't think you were going to get on the meeting, but if you wanted to mention that and some of what you thought about the mayor's plan, if you could do that, or how you want to do that.
So, you know, I think the mayor's plan, you know, we could do a whole meeting about that and just dig into it. But as far as like the police or policing, you know, I think the problem is twofold. Like Fitz mentioned, dice games, you know, the thing is, well, you're right. Somebody might get mad and retaliate, you know, so we need to hold ourselves to a bit of a higher standard as well. So, you know, it's unfair to always point the finger at someone who's put in authority role, because you also have the people who are committing the crimes. So, you know, it's like, okay, yeah, you should be able to, you know, yeah, you're drinking in public. That's you know, it's not a criminal offense. Do what you do. But when it escalates and you start fighting on the corner, then you can't cry that you're the victim and the police, you know, did something to you. So, you know, it's not, it's almost like we're hating the police unnecessarily sometimes, you know, and so how do we create a relationship that goes both ways? And I think some of those things are like, okay, we need people from the community to police certain communities. I think that's a very like good way for us to address. And I think DC kind of has a little bit of that in place in certain areas where they have people from that area that go there, or, you know, I think it's helpful because if you have somebody who understands the culture, then they can kind of get along a little bit better and make sure, you know, so that's one suggestion, I think. But I think there's a lot of other things that we kind of have to take one item at a time and bring it to the police force's attention, and also hold the community accountable for themselves. So I think it's twofold.
Thank you, Brother Frank. And just to chime in, when I was getting the letter signed, a lot of people was like, man, I don't want to put my name. It's like they was afraid. And I was like, the first thing I said was, look, man, we're slaves in this system. You know, if you don't speak up, nothing's going to change. And they would stop and be like, all right. And they'd sign. They were like, do I got to put my name and number? I'm like, just sign your name. You know, I was just frustrated. But First Vice, did you want to say something? I see you saying your phone, Don. You want to jump in real quick before you tap out? Brother James? We might have lost him. I know he said his phone was down.
I mean, can I say something else?
Yes, Brother Anthony.
I mean, one of the things that I just learned from William Fitzgerald is the fact about the state's attorney not prosecuting these smaller crimes. You know what I'm saying? When I lived in New York, the same thing happened. I mean, what was his name? Giuliani, he went a little bit overboard. But it was the same result when they started cracking down on the smaller crimes, like people jumping the turnstile, going into the subway. When they started, a lot of the results from that type of stuff was when they ran a lot of them people, they had warrants. You know, I mean, I jump in the turnstile ain't nothing, but when they caught them, when they caught them jumping the turnstile and they ran it into the system, these cats, a lot of the cats, they had warrants. So I'm in agreement with Mr. Fitzgerald that, I mean, you know, if an open container of beer is against the law, the police should enforce that law. They should be able to enforce it.
Thank you, Brother Anthony.
Let me
Go ahead,
jump in.
Sister Charlene. Yes, ma'am.
All right. So yeah, so listening to the whole nuanced conversations about smaller crimes and also like enforcement of the law in itself. And again, we got to look at what's missing from these communities that make these petty crimes a reality in the first place. Because for some strange reason, we having a hard time with even wrapping our minds around why there's a need to be a public dice game, which means that somebody's making money, right? So it's like, why is that the viable choice to be somewhere and do this out in the public in the first place? And then with the smaller kinds, we don't want to also make the case as Fitzgerald noted, and that is true, because even though like they were doing an enforcement to drive down the homicides, but there was the mass incarceration. And that comes from building up, you know, locking people up repeatedly over smaller stuff. So I think with the state attorney's office, even though she doesn't do a good job with really laying that out, is that you don't want to tie up resources with the police and trying to go after smaller stuff, as opposed to going after something that's bigger, like the drug trade and the selling and things of that nature. But if we can't get our community in a place where there are other viable options, and that has to come from us, unfortunately. It can't fall on the police. It can't fall on law enforcement. And I think a lot of things fall too much at the hands of law enforcement and then ultimately the state's attorneys, because, you know, they are here catching the criminals, if you will, and then we got to define what is tolerable, what is not tolerable. But nevertheless, then by the time they get to the state's attorney's office, then it's like catch and release. And it's that cycle that goes over and over. But like, it's like, we don't want to put ourselves in a position where we go back to something that looks like what it was in the 90s with the crime bill. And then there's over criminalization of people for smaller stuff, which, because once you start getting that record and you know Everett and everybody else that have been a part of that, you know, got caught up in that system, it's hard to come out of that.
You're right. I realized I had a record and I got pulled over. I was speeding. I was like about probably like 26 or something. I was working and I got pulled over in my work vehicle for speeding, and about 30 cops came. I was like, what the? And I was a little upset. And that's when me and my homeboy checked our records. He was like, you know, you got a record for harassing the police and attacking and all kinds. I was like, what? And I went on there, and it's still on there if you can look it up. And I was like, oh, this is crazy. And so you're right. It has to be a medium. As we talk about a connect between the district attorney and the police officers, there has to also be a connect with our judiciary system to say, okay, this guy, he got arrested for drinking a beer in an open container, but I'm not just going to punish him. You know what I'm saying? But you know, we got to connect all the dots for our community. That was an excellent statement. Pastor Reverend John, did you want to comment on any thoughts of this?
This is definitely a good dialogue. And I like when you talked about, just briefly, about the judicial system is also one of the issues when you're dealing with our community. And what really made me pay close attention to this is what happened, and it's been going on a long time, but what happened in the Ahmaud Arbery case when you had a DA trying to cover up what the men did to that young man. So we have to address all issues, and one way to address the judicial system and probably all of our issues is basically getting out here and voting. Voting will have to be our voice of change. That's what we're going to have to do. And I believe that we're going to have to make the local elections just as important as the presidential election. It seems to me that African Americans really only come out if there's a presidential election and we vote. But we need to vote in the local elections because it's the local government that's going to change our communities. It's at the local level.
Thank you, Pastor John, Reverend John. Brother Bruce, you want to say anything before we move forward?
One more thing before you move on. Oh, go ahead, Brother Bruce.
Oh, what's up, man? So this is a what, member share right now, right?
No, we just flowing on the topic. I'll get you a member share in a minute because I want you to flow on your business.
I didn't want to just come out, me personally, man, in my life right now, I see a lot of stuff for our community to start, we got to start doing immediately. I mean, like immediately, we're running out of time and everything, and just stuff is happening. So much things is happening around us that we not bothered by so many things right now that there's literally a lot of stuff knocking at our door, food shortages, different type of deals, different things that might not be conducive and help our community. And I think that we need some serious organization now, man, because it's some dark days coming ahead. I can't put my finger on every last one of them. It's just so many of them, so many dark days coming ahead if we don't get our stuff straight. And I'm trying to work on getting some people organized to do things at myself right now. So yeah, all right.
Yeah, and Brother Cameron, did you want to say anything about the violence? I know you're in North Carolina, but you have anything, the flow or something you could add?
Just like the sister said, she was speaking on basically about we got to look at the cause of this. We can arrest people all the time. And even myself, I've been a victim of being arrested, and I've never been arrested by a so-called Black person. It's always been by a so-called white male or white female, always. And I guess going back to what I was going into is that if we don't address the source, then it's just going to continue to happen. And when you get arrested, you got to pay money to get out. You got to go to court. That's time you got to take away from your job and other situations. And then when you go to get another job, it may look real bad on you. And even for myself, I've been arrested many times, even though I haven't been convicted of the things. And when I go to get an apartment, that affects me. So, it's not just we arrest people for petty crimes and that it's going to be all right. And petty crimes are always going to go to something big. I look at it like, yeah, we could be shooting craps on the corner and anybody could pull out a gun if they want to get mad. That could happen in any situation. That could be even at a basketball game. I don't feel like that all petty so-called crime is terrible, so to say. And then me personally, I'm from the South, so I look at it like, who created these laws? Because we didn't create them, so who created the laws that enslave our people to this day? And if we're not addressing those type of situations, and then on top of it, whenever I see a police officer, especially if they're of European descent, my blood starts boiling. I start getting uptight or whatever. I just don't feel comfortable. It's like I have a panic attack. And so if I'm, I'm not in Baltimore, but I can only imagine the men and women out there who, it's been systematic racism. They don't feel safe, especially if they're seeing people that's not the same complexion as them. And when these people come in, as I said, we got to look at the bigger system. We got COINTELPRO that's still going on today, whether we want to admit it or not, it's still going on. So we got that, also working against us. In my opinion, in my personal opinion, I feel like we should go back to the way Garvey started, as in we need to create our own small police force, and we need to, just like we have gangs in the community. I know of, I've participated in certain things of that nature, and I know that some of the so-called OGs, they'll lay their foot down. We need to go speak to these gang leaders and get them to join the UNIA and express, that we're promoting, Black empowerment, so to say. Because these gang leaders, they can give the word at any time to, have certain things done. And if they're enforcing it on the block that they're in control of, then we have, a better chance of getting a hold of our young brothers. So, that's all I really got to say on it.
Well, yeah, one more thing, Everett. I just want to speak on something that you spoke, that y'all was speaking about a record, having a record, right? They got this saying that the punishment should fit the crime. You know what I mean? Let's say, for instance, somebody's walking with an open container. I don't think like a situation like that, you should get a record from that. You probably get a death ticket, a summons to come to court and pay a fine. So you start at the low end with those stuff, and as it's called for, you let it fit what the offense is. You know what I'm saying? You don't. Say for instance, a crack game, right? You as an officer, you don't necessarily have to go there and arrest somebody, but you roll up and let them know, yo, you can't be doing that right there. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? If you circle back a couple of times and they're still doing it, then you escalate the situation. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, but let the punishment fit the crime. Not all. You can't just run around and slapping a record on everybody for every little thing. That's kind of crazy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's all I got to say on that.
If I could, I'd like to interrupt real quick. If possible, I'd like the officer to maybe, comment on whether police have quotas or not. Because if police have quotas, then obviously they have incentives to go out and lock our people up. So, I think that's a really good question that personally I would like to hear answered.
Hey, Fitz, I know your issue, so you may not want to answer that, Fitz. You want to answer that? He might not be there. But that was one of the reasons why he retired. Something dealing with the.
I wanted to add something real quick.
I'm sorry.
I am here, but I do my little gigs. I'm working on my gig right now.
Okay.
But I am here, and I did hear part of it. What was your question to me?
His question was, do the police have quotas they have to meet? And I
don't know about other jurisdictions. The jurisdiction that we're in, we don't have quotas.
What about? Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I know that.
Go ahead, Fitz. I'm sorry.
People think that during the first of the month, that police officers have quotas and they have to have a certain amount of tickets in. But I will say this, and one of the brothers, he brought up a good point about that. He mentioned citations issued for gambling, and that's something that we have to. I'm sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once. One of the things that we have to look at is the citation issued for gambling. When a person is not a quota on how many people you're locking up for gambling, it's a matter of how to prevent a violent crime from occurring. And if issuing a citation is saying, hey, please get off this corner. We don't want this because we're trying to prevent something else that's going to happen. It's the same thing with, again, I'll go back with the state's attorney saying we're not going to prosecute people for prostitution. Okay, but then if that prostitution turns into a rape, you now have a violent crime occurring, and now you're dealing with multiple rapes in the community that's occurring because they look deemed as minor crimes not being addressed. One of the things the brother said was, well, who invented these laws? Well, the laws were invented long ago. I think what we have to do as a community or as an organization, if we don't like the laws, let's work to change them, get rid of them. So, I mean, this is a big discussion that could go in a lot longer than what we're talking about now. And I was planning just to listen, but some of the good ideas and the thoughts that are being brought up needs a follow-up discussions on these.
Thank you so much, Fitz. Thank you so much. And that was a good bill, y'all. We got to do more of that, especially as we start getting more involved. And I want to say one thing and end it on this before we go to member share. In our leadership classes, the number one lesson, the first lesson, I should say, not the number one lesson, is intelligence, education, how to obtain, and I believe how to obtain and how to apply it. We have to educate ourselves. If we're uneducated, an uneducated person is a dangerous person. And our people are uneducated. Our school system sucks. The county school system in the Black neighborhoods suck in our area. The city school system sucks. And not only just the ABCs and the calculus, we're learning a culture that and a system that's not really ours. And Marcus Garvey mentions the Jewish community. If you go into their school system, not only are they learning at a good education with resources, they're learning about their culture as well in their school system. Where we're learning about, we're in a system, we're not getting properly educated, and we're also not learning about us. And if we start learning that we're more than just descendants of slaves, you know, and have pride in our culture, I think that will help. You know, we need to be more educated. So that's something that we need to fight for as well. But thank y'all, man. That was a wonderful build. I want to go into member share real quick. Sister Charlene. Brother Anthony, you had something to say? I'm sorry, I saw your hand move.
No, I was pumping my fist. I was pumping my fist. All right, just keep in mind, you're on the clock, 5 minutes.
Got you. Sister Charlene, did you want to share? I know you had something that you wanted added to the agenda. I don't know if you got it out though.
Yeah, okay. Well, going back, because that was a good segue with Fitzgerald had mentioned about changing laws, which brings up to the point of the legislation for the General Assembly. That's from January 12th through April 11th, where there are bills that are being introduced that impacts our state and impacts the city. If you've not been a part of that process and not paying attention to that, then it's a good idea for us to really come together. And then maybe I need to just start putting out some information about what's being introduced so you know how that process works. Because I've been through that for 2021, had submitted testimonies about bills that were introduced around local control policing, other things, or education. So introducing our legislators, they have a discussion on it and it's open. So maybe y'all need to be a part of that.
Is that something that like we could go to and like that meeting you sent me to with the police, that we could give our input or at least hear what's going on?
That's totally different. I'll go ahead and email that to explain that process.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, so we can go to member share. Please limit it to 5 minutes, brother. Bruce, I know you flowing on your business, and for those that came on late, brother Bruce helped Chief Elder, who his daughter witnessed a crime in Ohio, and she couldn't go back to work. And ironically, brother Bruce helped her out while she's deciding whether she's going to go home or not. She's going to work on the business that he's been talking about while he's been away. I just couldn't keep up with the training, but he's been flowing, and she's working with him instead of going back to her job. And actually, someone got murdered the next day, and that could have been her. So, brother Bruce, I know you wanted to share a little bit about what you got going on.
Excuse me 1 minute. If you're not speaking, do us a favor, mute your mic. Mute your mic if you're not speaking. Brother Frank, mute your mic, brother. Thank you.
I got him. Thank you, brother Anthony. Go ahead, brother Bruce.
All right, so basically, a couple months back, we set up a freight brokerage, right? Well, in order for a freight brokerage to work properly, you need data. All right, so anybody can open up a freight brokerage, and you can get the business started in that way. But we also opened up just recently, and we already had our first class already graduate, and then we got our second class we're on right now. We started a dispatching company. So we can literally take the data out of the dispatching company and pour it into the freight brokerage and make it work like the squeaky wheel that never squeaked at all, basically, because you have the actual grasp on the drivers, and we put them into these nice paying loads, because we know where the loads are coming from and going to because of the drivers. So make a long story short and everything, we're also designing a ranking system. So if people want to just be dispatchers, they can be dispatchers. They want to be a freight agent, they'll be a freight agent. But there is a ranking system that's being designed, so then that way, when they get to the level where if they decide if they want to stay with us or go, then we invite them into the organization. And basically, then that's when we can start getting them educated, like let's say coding or different, let's say somebody wanted to do something with some drone technology or something like that. Even let's say jujitsu classes or tactical defense, any type of classes that we can offer and get to them after they reach a certain level in the brokerage, because that'll be their main job. Then we'll be able to do more different type of classes for them. So they'll have a job, they'll be able to level up in the job, and then in order to move to the next level, you have to basically accomplish something. Like let's say you might have to learn Word, or you'd have to learn some type of miniature coding or whatever's, it's still being designed. It'll be done by the 3rd of January when our next class comes in. And I'm hopefully we can get everything kicked off by next summer and everything, and have this whole thing, different people coming from different places internationally joining up with us. Hopefully we can have everything running pretty smooth. But we got positions open, and trying to invite different people in that want to come in while we're still a young company. And hopefully we get more Black individual inside of the corporation. So that's pretty much it for me right there, brother.
Appreciate you, brother Bruce.
Yep.
Go to, I guess, real quick. Hey, brother John, you got anything going on with your church or anything you want to share?
Right now, brother E, we don't have any upcoming activities, but when we do, we'll keep you informed.
Okay, and Sister Charlene, this is the Reverend that was is looking out, trying to get a couple of those Black churches that may want to help us with the food drive as well. Brother Frank, let me hit you with the ass. Oh, you good?
First, what church are you with, Brother John?
I attend Community Baptist Church, 5912 Belleville Road. It's in Patapsco Park.
Okay.
The Pumphrey area, Brooklyn Park area.
Cool. Thanks for joining today. Appreciate it. I wanted to put out there, Brother Everett mentioned aims and objectives earlier. And, you know, I was really pumped this week because we have been knocking these out of the park. Like we really been on the ball. And, you know, it just made me like super proud and emotional just thinking about the things we've been doing. And one of the aims and objectives that we've been touching on is assist the needy, promote race pride and love, establish diplomatic agencies in principal countries and cities of the world for representation and protection of all members of the race. So with us starting to work with the government on a local level, that is us establishing diplomatic agencies. And as we start like looking into what the mayor has proposed, because I looked at the mayor's plan maybe 6 months ago when it was first presented to me by someone, probably Sister Charlene, because she be sharing that stuff all the time. And I read through it and I'm like, wow, this is powerful, because you can say what you want about Brandon Scott, you like him, you hate him, whatever. I don't really care for politicians that much, period. But this plan is definitely different. He's setting up these different groups and I guess oversight, kind of like ANC or commissioners for and committees for different things. So there's the Gun Violence Reduction Committee, there's the Neighborhood, Infrastructure Committee, there's the Broadband and Internet Committee. So we are in a place right now and getting contacts with people that we can be on the ground floor. And what I'm going to say about that is that government has the money, okay? They don't always have the people to run programs. And I think wholeheartedly that that's where we fit in. We need to start getting ourselves ready to actually implement some of these programs, and especially the programs that fall under the UNIA umbrella. And one of them that I would touch on, aside from just the general uplift of our community, which is stopping violence and things like that. But December should be our Buy Black program. So here we are now, it's December the 18th, but we need to be pushing the Buy Black program for the rest of the month. And next year, hopefully we on top of it and we can put a little bit more effort into that. But let's think about some Black-owned businesses or vendors that and share them with your group, share them with people just get everybody to support Black businesses, because that's our program for this month. So, not every month we have different programs, but there are certain months that have specific programs that we're supposed to do. So I wanted to share that, and hopefully, we can have a separate meeting about going into the mayor's plan and how we can kind of implement and infiltrate these committee meetings and put forward some good effort.
Thank you, Brother Frank. And Brother Cam, do you have anything you want to share what's going on with you? And I still got to get up with you. I mean, I've been so busy this week. I keep forgetting to hit you, but definitely just keep hitting me if I don't get to you.
Not really. Right now, I've been putting together a 2022 recruitment proposal. So I plan to have that finished maybe within the next couple of days, and then I'd like to, I guess, present it to you guys and get your input on it and see how we can kind of move forward. I personally feel like that one of our main goals that we really should be striving towards is recruitment. The more people we have, the more outreach we have.
That's right.
And then we also have, many creatives out there as well that want the same things that we want, but they just don't know that the UNIA exists. And, I kind of spoke on this beforehand. I myself, I didn't really know that this was a thing until, you know, maybe like really a couple of months ago. So we got a lot of Black fraternities. I want to start trying to see how we can infiltrate, you know, the college system. So I won't say too much more on it, but when the time comes, hopefully the next meeting, I'll be ready to present that to you guys. And these meetings, they're like church to me. You know, I personally don't go to church, but these meetings are like church to me. It gets me all revved up and ready to go for the next week. So I appreciate you guys and everything that y'all do.
Hold up, brother. Somebody just signed in 410-336-6301.
Lady Press.
My
Oh.
apologies. This is me, Narcissa. I'm so sorry. I'm late. I'm so sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh my God.
We just needed to identify who was coming in on the call.
Thank you.
All right.
My apologies for being late. I'm so sorry.
No, and I'm glad you said that. There was one thing before we close out, or two things, Lady Press. I want you to flow on the second thing. Brother Frank mentioned the aims and objectives. Remember the new text line. If you text objectives, you'll get our aims and objectives. It's 11. I always say 10, but correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's 11. I should know them by heart by now, but I don't. But I always remember confraternity. But also, you know, I went out to get the letter signed for the petition, and it's been tough. But Frank mentioned something, and I think Lady Press and Sister Charlene agreed that maybe we should do an online petition, especially with the COVID going around. It might be easier to see somebody and text them that petition and say, I need you to sign this right now, and email a petition where they can do it. 30 wasn't a lot to me because I probably talked to about 300 people, but you know, I got about 30 letters signed, but it was so tough. Lady Press, did you want to talk about that before we close out?
Yes, I'll start the letter writing campaign. The other campaign that I started is I'll send you guys out the list of all the churches that are right there on the county city line, that I'm going to send out the emails asking if we can participate with their food drives beginning in January 2022, whenever they have it. And as far as the online petition, I know just with my community association, just getting people to even just print out the letter or just email it. And I know it's kind of hard to email it directly to Brandon Scott because you have to go through a process, copy the letter, and then attach it to their actual website. So if I can find other ways or other social media, you know, areas where I can like put the letter out there and kind of persuade people to just start this letter writing campaign because it's necessary. And just, you know, it seems like since we started this, it seems like we've gotten all of these triggers. The 15 people that got shot, one person did.
That's crazy.
The police officer, you know, being shot. I mean, it just seems like they said they got a crime fighting plan, but it's not working. And if we need to keep on doing it. Don't stop the momentum. I know it seems a little crazy, but just keep on doing it. We got people doing hunger strikes for the voters' rights. When I say we're in a spiritual warfare, it's stuff coming at us in every direction. But again, we got to aim high. And even though it looks kind of crazy, we just got to stay the course. And whatever I can do to make sure that we keep this going, I'm going to do it. So again, Everett, I thank you for stepping up to the plate. Everybody on the phone that's been stepping up to the plate and showing up and getting things done. I just thank you. And I can see the end. I just know we just got to keep moving forward. And that's about all I have to say.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So before we end the meeting, Brother Anthony always ends us with a quote. You got a quote for us, Sergeant at Arms?
Oh, wait a minute, hold up. Before he does, real quick. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, real quick, just in case you didn't see the chat box, Cameron recommend using change.org, which is a good online petition site.
Perfect. That's perfect. Change.org. Thank you, Brother Cam.
Everett, didn't I send you a link
What was the link you sent me?
I thought I sent you a link to, it's the one for, to exonerate Marcus Garvey.
Yes. Oh, I did. You know what? I was, when you sent it to me, I was thinking like, yeah, I signed that. I didn't think to look on there for our petition, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Thank you. I'll check that out too.
And just to add to that, so that petition is at 750. They need 1,000. They're looking for 1,000 signatures. So this is for, you know, the Honorable Marcus Garvey to to free him from all charges, to get a pardon from President Biden. That's what they're pushing for. And it's the son of Marcus Garvey who's really driving that that effort. So just putting that out there. If y'all haven't seen that on change.org, just you can search for it, or I'll try to find the link and send it to everyone so you can sign that and share, because I think that's something that is important for our organization as a whole.
Yeah, Brother Cameron just posted it in the chat.
Awesome, awesome. All right, it's on you, Sergeant at Arms.
Oh, give me a second there. Give me a second. Let me get myself together here. All right, y'all ready?
Yeah.
This is a quote from the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. It goes as follows. Ambition is the desire to go forward and improve one's condition. It is a burning flame that lights up the life of the individual and makes him see himself in another state. To be ambitious is to be great in mind and soul, to want which is worthwhile and strive for it, to go on without looking back, reaching to that which gives satisfaction. Marcus Garvey.
Awesome, awesome. Well, as we close out, and as we do got my man John, we need a chaplain, John. So I'm gonna be messing with you about being chaplain, but we'll talk about that another day. But as we close out, if you guys can unmute and repeat after me. One God.
One God. One God.
One aim.
One aim.
One destiny.
One destiny.
Africa for the Africans.
Africa for the Africans.
For those home.
For those home.
And for those abroad.
For those abroad.
Those abroad.
All right, as you know, we got a red, black, and green flag. We have a constitution, and we have an Ethiopian anthem. You guys can, you don't have to stay on, but I have to play the anthem as we close, and everybody race first.
Race first.
Race first, brother.
I'm gonna play this one. My bad.
A storm cloud at night suddenly gathers, oh, armies come rushing to thee. We must in the fight be victorious, when swords are thrust outward to gleam. For us will victory be glorious, when led by the red, black, and green. Advance, advance to victory, let Africa be free. Advance to meet the foe, advance to meet the
All right, everybody, have a good night.
Race first.
Hey, race first, everyone. Race first.
Be safe, y'all. Be safe.
Peace and blessings.